You don't get controlled by toxic people because they're powerful. You get controlled because they learn your buttons, and you keep letting them press them. And the scary part? Most of the time, you don't even realize you're being trained. A toxic person doesn't wake up and say, "I want to ruin you." They just notice what works. Guilt works, fear works, confusion works. So they repeat it until your nervous system starts obeying them automatically. But here's the truth that flips everything. Toxic people can't control you if you do these 6 things. 1. Name the pattern out loud in your head. Toxic people survive on fog. They win when you feel something is off, but you can't explain it. Because once you name it, it stops being your personality flaw and becomes their behavior. So instead of thinking, "Why am I so sensitive?" you say, "This is guilt tripping. This is gaslighting. This is moving the goalpost. This is silent treatment." Psychology calls this affect labeling. When you label an emotion or a manipulation tactic, your emotional part of your brain calms down. Your prefrontal cortex comes back online. You stop reacting like a cornered animal and start thinking like an observer. And toxic people hate observers because observers don't get hypnotized. 2. Stop explaining yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. If you've ever had a conversation where you're giving perfect reasons and they still twist it, then you already learned the lesson. You can't communicate better with someone who's using communication as a weapon. A toxic person doesn't argue to understand. They argue to exhaust you. They want you to talk until you doubt your memory, your tone, your intention, your character. That's not a discussion. That's psychological warfare disguised as "let's talk." This is where a simple phrase becomes your armor. "I'm not available for this conversation." Not "here's why." Not "let me clarify." Not "please understand." Because over-explaining is often a trauma response. It's your brain trying to earn safety by being perfect. But you don't earn safety with toxic people. You set it. 3. Replace emotional reacting with a delayed response. Toxic people love speed. They want instant access to your emotions. They drop a comment, a look, a joke, a sudden accusation, and you rush to fix it, defend it, prove yourself. That's how they control you through urgency. So you do the opposite. You delay. You pause for 3 seconds longer than feels natural. You say, "I will think about it." You say, "I'm not answering that right now." You say, "Let me get back to you." This breaks the conditioning loop. It's like interrupting habit before it completes itself. In psychology, this is response inhibition, your ability to stop an automatic reaction. And it's a core skill of emotional intelligence. Because the moment you stop reacting on their schedule, you stop living inside their system. 4. Stop seeking closure from the person who caused the chaos. This one hurts because your brain wants a clean ending. You want them to admit it, apologize, explain, finally see you. But toxic people rarely give closure. They give just enough confusion to keep you chasing clarity. That chase is called intermittent reinforcement. It's the same reward pattern that makes people addicted to slot machines. Sometimes they're kind, sometimes they're cruel, sometimes they act like nothing happened. And your brain keeps thinking, if I just say it the right way, maybe I'll get the good version of them back. But here's the hard truth. Closure isn't something they give you. Closure is something you decide. You close the door when you accept this sentence. They don't need to understand for me to move on. 5. Make your boundaries boring and repeatable. A lot of people think boundaries are dramatic speeches, big emotional announcements, long explanations. But the best boundaries are boring, short, calm, repeatable. Because toxic people test boundaries the way hackers test passwords. They try different angles until something opens. They'll guilt you, flatter you, play victim, get angry, act confused. And if your boundary changes every time, they learn, push harder, they'll crack. So your boundary needs one secret ingredient: consistency. You don't need to win the argument. You need to end the access. Examples: I'm not comfortable with that. No, that doesn't work for me. I'm leaving if you keep speaking to me like that. And then you actually follow through. Because a boundary without action is just a request, and toxic people don't respect requests. They respect consequences. 6. Build a life they can't emotionally hold hostage. This is the ultimate power move. Not revenge, not proving them wrong. Freedom. Toxic control gets stronger when your world gets smaller, when your mood depends on them, when your identity depends on their approval, when your peace depends on their behavior. So you expand your world. You strengthen other connections. You create routines that regulate your nervous system. You invest in skills, goals, and spaces that have nothing to do with them. Because emotional independence is the opposite of manipulation. When you have your own support system, your own purpose, your own stability, their tactics stop working. The guilt doesn't land the same. The silent treatment feels like silence, not a threat. The criticism feels like noise, not a verdict. And that's the moment toxic people panic, because they can't control someone who doesn't need their permission to feel okay. So here's the takeaway. Toxic people don't control you with strength. They control you with conditioning. And you break conditioning with awareness, pauses, boundaries, and a bigger life. Name the pattern. Stop over-explaining. Delay your reaction. Choose your own closure. Make boundaries boring and consistent, and build a life that doesn't revolve around their mood. If this felt like someone finally put words to what you've been living, then you're not weak. You're waking up. And once you wake up, control stops working.